As we all know, Louisiana passed a law that will now allow for public schools to host the 10 Commandments, which is a clear violation of the separation of church and state. We're talking about public schools that are funded with public money. And as a result, there are now lawsuits against that law. And the point is to potentially fight this all the way to the Supreme Court. Now, that's gonna cost the state of Louisiana quite a bit of money. And so in an attempt to defend spending these resources on fighting these lawsuits over a law that is very likely unconstitutional, Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry has this absurd theory about how, well, the shooter who attempted to assassinate Donald Trump maybe wouldn't have done it if the 10 Commandments were posted at his school. Think about it. Think about it.
Okay, yeah, I thought about it. It's super dumb.
Thanks for watching. Our audience has helped build TYT into the media giant it is today. Together, we can accomplish anything. Support our work and join us at tyt.com/team.
So look, I want to give you guys an interesting, different perspective here. So as you all know, I grew up in a Muslim background, but not very religious. My family was pretty secular. But did we go to, did I see my dad go to mosque once a year? Yeah, right. We did the bare minimum. And I lived until I was 8 years old in Turkey, so the whole culture was Muslim, of course, right? And for a lot of people that don't know anything about Islam, they think because of American media, that sounds like dark. You know what? No, it's just like American culture. It's not perfectly the same, of course, right? But it's incredibly similar because we're all human beings and we all act the same way, right? So, but the preachers, the imams, the mullahs, etc., they all say the same thing. That's why when I heard what the governor said, I thought, man, he sounds just like an imam, right? And so what the mullahs say is, they say, well, if anything goes wrong, it's because we weren't practicing Islam enough.
Yeah, we weren't religious enough.
We didn't pray enough. We didn't read the Quran enough. We didn't make the kids learn the Quran enough. That's exactly what they say. And they also say it about, and this happens a lot in the Muslim world because the Muslim world is losing, right? In the sense that it has less power than the West. And they feel oppressed and they feel downtrodden, etc. And they always say like, oh, if we just read the Quran more, then we'd be back on top. Okay, and this guy sounds just like those mullahs.
In fact, Cenk, I love that you brought that up because it reminded me of something that you don't really hear much about these days. It was like a very hot topic back in the day, but since fundamentalists have really fallen out of fashion here in the United States, you don't hear from them as much. But every time there was some sort of tragic natural disaster or some sort of tragedy that happened within our borders, within our country, you would have these like religious fundamentalists in America say, it happened because this community deserved it because they're not religious enough or they don't read the Bible enough. They don't believe in God enough. Just absolute lunatic behavior. And here you kind of have a governor basically engaging in the same kind of talk. So I want to give you his direct statement. I was paraphrasing earlier. So he made this statement while talking to Nexstar here at the RNC, quote, maybe if the 10 Commandments were hanging inside the Trump shooter's school, maybe he wouldn't have taken a shot at the president.
Like we now know that he had a mental health condition, right? Do you think that a person with a mental health condition reads, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife and goes, well, you know what? I'm fine now. I don't need to shoot anyone because I read that I shouldn't covet my neighbor's wife and I shouldn't take the Lord's name in vain. So I'm all good. Like, I'm sorry, please tell me you're rational enough not to believe that. I mean, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
I can't believe, and which religion is right? So are the mullahs right that if you just read the Quran, you'll be fine? Or are the Christian fundamentalists right that if you just read the Bible, you'll be fine? What if you read the wrong text? Does that still count? Or no, that God didn't hear you or you didn't hear God? The people hearing voices in their head is how we get these shooters.
Right.
That's not the answer to the shooters.
So circling back, according to the Huffington Post, circling back to the legal costs of Louisiana's 10 Commandment policy, Landry added, quote, it's a price that I'm glad to pay to hopefully keep kids out of crime, to reduce violence and to bring some civility back to the country because nothing enhances civility more than forcing your religion on everyone else in a secular society.
I have a thought on that too, but first, how mad would you be if we were wasting our taxpayer dollars in our state on something like this?
Well, we are wasting our taxpayer dollars in our state, and I'm furious about it. So this would also infuriate me if I were living in Louisiana, a state where I'm sure those resources are better used on improving the lives of his constituents in that state.
Yeah, of course. Okay, now, guys, there's a second problem with what these guys are saying. The reason why religion could work in bringing forward more civility or a better culture where people are nicer to one another, understand each other, etc., is if you teach the whole culture of understanding, as Jesus did. And Jesus was very accepting, by the way, also of immigrants and the poor and the needy and prostitutes and everyone else, right? If you taught, but okay, put aside the immigrants and the prostitutes. I'm not trying to convince you to not be a right winger or anything like that. I'm just saying that you have to teach the whole culture of decency to one another. Just teaching 10 lines doesn't do anything. That's a shortcut to a dead end. That doesn't teach the value of decency, the value of respecting other people and respecting their lives. The whole culture, you could argue, does, whether it's Christianity, Islam, Judaism, or any value system that teaches those same fundamental human concepts. But if you think you're gonna do a shortcut and go, yeah, I read it, yeah, don't covet the neighbor's wife and then don't make a golden calf, I'm good. No, that's not gonna work. That's not how the world works. And it's really a sad, simplistic way to look at the world.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.